Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, the #1 romance book recs talk show. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby K, author of the sweet romance series Buckeye Falls.
In celebration of both Mother's and Father's Day holidays, Libby and I are excited to share our single-parent romance book recs. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance Channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean and all podcast apps. Viewers and listeners can email us at readerseeksromance@yahoo.com. Hello, Libby.
Hello, Liz. How are you? Loaded question.
Bingo. I wanted to point out that this is our 25th episode.
Is it already? Time flies when you're having a good time.
Hey ladies, it's Taylor. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
25 episodes, we should rent a car or something, because that's what you can do.
We should rent a car?
Yeah, isn't that like the only thing that changes when you turn 25 is you can rent a car? Or am I showing my age and now you can rent a car whenever the hell you want?
You're right. You're right. You're right. Yes. I think when you hit 25, then you can rent it without there having to be like an adult.
Like a co-signer or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to rent a car together. Oh. Libby, let the roundup begin.
Giddy up, Liz. Here we go. So I'm putting mine in order from the sweetest to the steamiest. So we're going to start on the sweet side with an author I know I've discussed on the show before, but when I started working on my list, I'm like, we have to include her. So my first recommendation is How to Kiss Your Grumpy Boss by Jenny Proctor. This came out in November of 22 from JPC, which is her own imprint. This is book 2 in the Hawthorne Brothers series, which again, I've raved about on the show before. And for those of you who haven't read the series, it's about 4 brothers finding love in a small town. And of course, there's all sorts of shenanigans. It's a nice combination of sweet. It's closed door, but it's done in a way that for those of you who prefer steamier romances, I don't feel like you're going to feel like you're missing anything. Because it's a very well-rounded romance series. As the title would suggest, Grumpy Sunshine is also one of the tropes in this. It's not just a single parent book. And it is a single mom, in case you can't tell from the cover. So here's the general premise. This is just number 2 in the series. This is Perry, the second of the Hawthorne brothers. And he is running the family farm and he needs a little help, Liz. So what's he going to do? He's going to hire a virtual assistant. And no, it's not an AI thing. It is, and actually, as I was reading this book, I thought that would actually be a sweet gig. Basically, work from home, you're a personal assistant for someone and, scheduling, doing all the bric-a-brac remotely. So that is how he comes to meet Lila, who originally, when she created her profile to get this job, put the picture of a little old lady up because she didn't want anyone to get any ideas. So he thinks he's hired this like little old lady character or person. And in reality, it's Lila, who is a age-appropriate single gal. So
what would have been an awesome twist is if he was disappointed.
Just that it wasn't the older woman. Oh my God.
He was disappointed it wasn't the older woman because he's like, oh, I thought she was hot. I dig grannies.
Hell yeah.
That would have been entertaining. And I hope Jenny's paying attention and makes a change for later.
That's awesome.
So we have Lila, who is this stay-at-home or a single mom. She is doing this new gig. She's trying to keep her family going, trying to earn a couple bucks. And while she put up a picture of a little old lady, Perry put up his own picture, and he's very attractive. And she's like, "Ooh, I might have a crush on the boss," but she tells herself not to worry about it because it's virtual. They're never going to meet. Spoiler alert: they meet. So.
Is it like a fun meet cute moment?
Yes, it is a meet cute moment. And I don't want to spoil it because it was, okay. It was cute. It was very cute. And there obviously is a little confusion over the change in the avatar picture, but it's very fun. Okay. So the other reason that Lila wanted to keep her identity a secret is because she's very protective of her young son, Jack. And so she doesn't usually let people in. She usually doesn't date. She has a very small friends group. So when she meets Perry and decides to work on site a little bit, that shifts her life around a little because obviously she is now out and about meeting people like these crazy Hawthorns. And there are a few opportunities where Perry and Jack meet and interact together. And so she's still, trying to keep her son at arm's length from strangers. And I don't want to give anything away with the plot, but the one thing I will say why I thought of this book first when we started talking about which ones we wanted to talk about, I found this to be the most realistic portrayal of meeting someone else's child that didn't bog down the story with too much details or anything too heavy. There is a scene where Perry takes Jack to a school event, and just the way, and I felt the same way because I don't have a kid either. So, but just the way he went into this thinking, oh, I've got this covered. And then all the logistics with how schools work and how, how you can't just expect people to do what you want to do in a school. You have to follow the rules and how things can shift if he did it wrong and how that could affect the little boy. So, I mean, nothing heavy. It's nothing serious with that, but just the way she wrote it, it was the perfect amount of like, oh no, Perry, you're screwing up. And oh wow, like this is realistic, but it was again, the story just felt genuine, and I liked how she wrote their relationship. Again, closed door, so there's not going to be any shenanigans on the page, but it's just a very sweet story. I like how she puts a couple different spins on the single mom trope. For those of you who have read the rest of the series, or any of the other series, all of the brothers make an appearance, even if it's just really quickly. But it's a very well-written cast of characters in that no matter who's on the page and for how long, it feels like a gift. You're like, yes, we get a little time with him, or, oh, I can't wait till we see him. So you can read this as a standalone. You still will enjoy the interactions with the brothers, even if you haven't met them before. But for those of you who are a fan of the Hawthorne series, it just really adds to the story. So that is why I have recommended for my first single parent romance, How to Kiss Your Grumpy Boss by Jenny Proctor.
I definitely have to move Jenny Proctor up on my TBR.
I think you would like her. And I feel, and I'm not saying that it's only summer reading because you can read whatever you want anytime you want, but I feel like her books for me, and I think it's just because I started reading her a couple years ago in the summer, she gives me summer vibes. So I don't know. I feel like you should have your Jenny Proctor summer.
Maybe we should consider having her on. She seems to publish pretty regularly.
Yes, I think she has at least 2 or 3 books a year. I'd love to have her on. We should figure this out. All right. So Liz, what is your first recommendation for the single parent reads?
I have a book, Rafe, R-A-F-E. That's the name of the main character. Rafe, a buff male nanny. Need I say more?
Oh my gosh, this is on my TBR list.
Is it?
Tell me more, because I'm slowly picturing the cover and I feel like this sounds so familiar. Please, Liz, tell me everything.
That picture is awesome. That picture is awesome. The book cover has Rafe, a profile of him just looking into like a dark blue distance. And I actually thought it was sci-fi at first. Rafe, a buff male nanny, is a short and steamy interracial romance by Rebecca Weatherspoon, published by the author in 2018. And actually, I downloaded this ebook a long time ago, and I don't know why I never got to reading it, but I decided to read it a few months ago, and I was like, oh, perfect for our single parent episode. Here is the gist. Heart surgeon and recently divorced Dr. Sloane Copeland desperately needs a new live-in nanny to care for her adorable twin daughters, Avery and Addison. Muscular, bearded, tattooed, motorcycle-riding Rafe Whitcomb is an experienced nanny who has just ended a recent long-term nanny position. Immediately after Sloane hires Rafe, it is clear that their mutual attraction is palpable. But Sloane doesn't want to get into any type of relationship or entanglement that could hurt her daughters, who have quickly grown to adore Rafe.
Aww.
Okay, so here is a line from the book description. With every minute they spend under the same roof, this working mom can't help but wonder if Rafe can handle all her needs.
Oh, ooh la la.
and it is a short read, so they get together sooner rather than later.
Good, because I'm short on time right now and I need a short read in my life.
Oh yeah, you can. I read this in a day, sure. It is perfect for that. So Rafe is a super hot read. He is kind, sweet, and caring. And all of his interactions with Avery and Addison, who they're very smart, but they're not obnoxious. I know that that's a pet peeve of ours is, overly precocious, smart ass kids.
Yeah.
Rafe's interactions with Avery and Addison are just so heartwarming and so filled with like wisdom. And he
Aw.
really does well with interacting with kids. It astronomically boosts his character's attractiveness quotient. So, I mean,
Well, and that's saying something considering he has a motorcycle, tattoos, and a beard. I mean, I'm already like, woo.
oh, that just when you think he can't get any more sexy and attractive, his way of dealing with the kids and how he brings peace and harmony to the household, and he just fits in so seamlessly. Like you're gonna be like, oh my God, my head's gonna explode.
Oh, well, I got to read this now.
So I also really love that Sloane is a heart surgeon. And to be honest, I don't even know the last time I read a female protagonist who was a doctor, let alone a
Agreed.
surgeon.
Yes, and usually they're nurses or it's, not medical connected. So I like that it's like
Yeah.
obviously a badass job.
Yeah. Oh my God. And they don't like Rebecca Weatherspoon doesn't go too much in depth into like the daily, ins and outs of being a heart surgeon, but does touch on a few of the patients she's seeing. And I love the whole heart surgeon and, opening her own heart to love again after being
Yeah.
divorced, but it
Aw.
also showed Sloane's capacity to love on so many levels, because you see the love she has for her patients, the love she has for her kids, the love she has for the work she does, the love that's developing between, she and Rafe. So I enjoyed all of that. Sloane also has a fun group of friends who have her back at every turn.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
and one of the friends, Zenny, is actually in one of the other books in this. It's called the Loose Ends series. So Rebecca took supporting characters from other books and gave them their own series called the
Oh,
Loose
nice.
Ends.
Oh, I like that. That's cute.
Yeah,
What a
so-
fun idea.
Now I wrote this. Okay.
Ooh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Want a buff male nanny to tuck you in and kiss you goodnight? Then read Rafe, A Buff Male Nanny by Rebecca Weatherspoon.
Oh, 5 stars. No notes on that description.
Thank you.
Do not cut that.
I will not cut it. So let's see. So far we've both had single moms.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you have for us next? Another single mom or a single dad?
Single dad. And I'm
Right.
taking us back in time, baby. Get ready.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wait a second.
Oh,
This-
no.
This isn't. Oh my God. This isn't the same book. Is it?
Wait, which one do you have? I'm nervous now. Okay, so and it's probably going to be the one you have if this is what I think it is. It Takes Two to Tumble by Cat Sebastian.
No, it's not.
Okay, I feel like we're on a weird game show where I almost got the answer wrong.
I feel kind of disappointed that you did, because when
Yeah.
you said back in time, I thought you picked my back in time one.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay,
You
well,
can carry
I
on.
will carry on. Okay, so spoiler alert, I picked It Takes Two to Tumble by Cat Sebastian. This came out in December of 2017 from Avon Impulse. I know we've discussed this series before, Seducing the Sedgwicks. This is the first book. I think the other one I talked about was the third book, where the other brother was sick in a cabin and his buddy was helping him out, which is a horrible description for that book. A lot more goes on than what I just described. His buddy helps him out.
Was that Two Roads Make a Right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I couldn't remember the title and it was going to
Yeah.
drive me crazy. So yeah, I liked that one too. This one obviously is following today's theme. So this is an romance. We have a single dad who is a captain in the Navy, very proper British job for that time period, in my opinion. And we also have the local vicar, which I just think is cute.
You mentioned a sea captain. We just talked about sea captains in our last episode.
That's right. Maybe that's why it was just like floating around in my brain.
We really should
Ugh.
just have a sea captain episode.
A sea captain episode and just have tons of pictures of Christopher Plummer. God, I love that man. Oh,
I want to rewatch. Rewatch. I
that sounds like Dracula.
want to rewatch. I wanted to rewatch Sound of Music so badly because I only have it on DVD, and I was like, oh, I just want to stream it, and it's on Disney Plus, and I don't have it
Oh,
right
I don't
now.
have Disney. Well, that sucks. I have the DVD. If only I had a DVD player.
Can you put it in your laptop?
I don't have a disc drive. Actually, this is a perfect segue because I kind of got, and not really, but just a little bit, Sound of Music vibes with the kids in this one, because they have not been able to keep a governess. They have not been able to keep any nannies. They are just causing trouble in the countryside. And the thing I liked about this, and this is going to sound funny considering this is our single parent episode, the kids were in it just enough, if that makes sense.
Yes.
They were there
Yes.
when they needed to be. They were not there when they didn't need to be.
Mhm.
I can't even tell you their names, Liz. That's how I just remember they were sweet. They got the job done and they went home. So like
The way
the
you
idea
just
of it,
described it, it sounded like kids working at a sweatshop.
that's
It's like, I just want you to get into your job and get out.
yeah. Go work in the mines for a little while and you can go home and go back to school.
Here's your pail of food.
Yeah.
Get lost.
Thanks, little Jimmy. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hopefully.
Yeah. This took a turn from Captain Von Trapp to child labor laws.
I love the thought of your little Jimmy crawling into the mine with a little pickaxe.
And like a little canary in a cage. Anyway.
I would love that. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So we have our sweethearted vicar and our handsome, brooding Navy captain and his precocious children that cause just enough trouble to keep it interesting. We have Ben, who is a country vicar, and he has his parishioners. He loves to help them any way he can. But one of the things he wasn't expecting is to get a request to be a part-time, basically live-in nanny or a governess for the local sea captain's 3 rambunctious children. So he comes in to take over and help out for a little while Captain Philip is at sea. And so Captain Philip comes home. He discovers this man he doesn't know with his children who are finally behaving. And while he is obviously caught off guard by the fact that suddenly his children seem to be interested in life and well-behaved, he is also interested in the young vicar. So for as sweethearted as Ben the vicar is, Captain Philip has a lot of heartbreak of his own, which I will not go into. I'll let you read that on the page, but he is overcoming something, a difficult moment of his own. And so coming back and seeing his children happy, having this attractive man in his house is obviously going to help him overcome the grief and turmoil that he has been working through. So it is no secret, love Cat Sebastian's books. That was why I read this about, I think probably at this point, it's been almost a year and a half. But I love this series. It is not necessarily a short book, but it reads quickly.
Okay.
It has just enough involvement from like the quirky townspeople to give it that like quintessential historic romance vibe. You know, there's always some goofy people to deal with in the town.
Yeah.
And this is, again, it sounds silly saying this because that's part of his character. The vicar character is not preachy, so it's not like, you know, sometimes just to give it that authenticity, it sometimes feels like I'm sitting in the middle of a church service, but you don't get that vibe here at all. It's like just enough about his life as a vicar to make it interesting. And I felt like Cat Sebastian did her research because of the way they talk about his work and how he can give back and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
I dig it. This is Sound of Music because instead of there's
yes,
none, there's a vicar.
A vicar, exactly. And I felt like the shenanigans the kids get into kind of were reminiscent of the Von Trapp kids. So it was, like I said, a quick read, not necessarily short, but super quick. You don't have to read the rest of the series. You don't have to read them in order. I think I actually read them 3, 2, 1, which is funny. I usually don't like to do that, but in this case, I read them in opposite order. But yeah, it was steamy. It was sweet. I liked, the kids were in it just enough. The backstory was in it just enough. It felt like the perfect balance of all elements of this book. And but yeah, and it's Cat Sebastian. So in my opinion, you can't go wrong with that. But so that is my second pick. It Takes Two to Tumble by Cat Sebastian. And now I am dying, Liz, to know what your historic single parent pick is.
Viking era historical romance, The Viking She Loves to Hate.
Oh my God, I almost picked that one. Really? I read it like a month ago and I remember thinking, oh, I should do this one. But I totally spaced on that when I was doing my notes. Okay, sorry, I'll stop being excited. Well, for now.
Never stop being excited about Lucy Morris's historical romances. The Viking She Loves to Hate is a rivals to lovers romance by Lucy Morris. We are both a fan. Published July 2023 by Harlequin Historical. The Viking She Loves to Hate is set in the Northern Fjords, which I looked up is in Iceland.
I had to look that up too.
Okay, yeah. It's in the year 830. And here's the gist. Princess Astrid is her kingdom's master boat builder and does not want to give up her profession or her personal freedom by marrying. But as the daughter of the king, she is expected to take a husband. King Viggo, which I just kept thinking of Viggo Mortensen.
Oh my God, I did too. In this movie theater, that's all it was.
It was Viggo. And I was like, but I don't want to hate Viggo because King Viggo is kind of a dick.
Yeah, but Viggo Mortensen is never a dick.
No, he is not. He's not. He looks like he actually might have an impressive one. King Viggo has ordered a who can build the better boat competition between his daughter Astrid and Ulrich, a single dad and warrior turned boat builder. If Astrid wins, then Ulrich will be banished from the kingdom and will need to start over again in another village with his preteen daughter Frida. If Astrid loses, then Ulrich becomes a master boat builder for the kingdom, and then Astrid must marry. Now, here's a line taken from the book description. With the stakes so high, Astrid should hate this man, but during the long, hot summer, their rivalry turns to a heated passion that neither one can ignore.
Oh, this book was so good.
So the Viking she loves to hate is a unique twist on rivals to lovers. Still depending on a job, which I like that it's still that there was a job that they were like fighting over. But how refreshing for it to be boat builders in the Viking era.
Yes, and I like how both of their reasonings for wanting the job both made sense to me. Like it didn't feel like one was forced. You know what I mean? Sometimes you read it and one of them is like, why the hell would they even care?
Yes.
This one, I was equally invested.
Well, because the stakes were high. Like the stakes were high and believable. This is their life. This can mean life or death for him and his daughter. They can end up homeless if they're banished from the kingdom, especially being as a warrior, and he's a bit older. He's 35. Like,
I know. When I read that, I'm like, you old man. Like,
I know, right? But you know that he's had a lot of hard living, so maybe opportunities aren't as abundant for him. And for her, I mean, basically marrying one of the jarls, who's basically like, I don't know, like a mayor, I guess, of a village. Thought of it. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to care about her wanting to build boats. They'll say, no, you have to be a wife. And so like, we're talking about two lives that would be seriously impacted negatively, possibly life or death. So I loved that aspect of the rivals to lovers story. Also, there was a lot of forbidden longing, which was it was done
so well. It was done so well.
Lucy Morris is a gifted storyteller. I can't praise her books enough. Also, you can't not get sucked in to the internal lives and the emotions of her brilliantly developed characters, no matter what book. And you can attest to, no matter what book, you get so wrapped up in wanting these characters to be happy, not only for themselves, achieving personal goals for each other. Yeah. So Astrid can be kind of bratty, and she plays harmless pranks on Ulrich. And he takes it in cool, confident strides that I found so sexy. Like,
Me too.
He wasn't, because how many times you read Rivals to Lovers and it's always tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat. Who could be worse to the other? Yes. And he's just like, all right, have your fun. But I can ignore it. And so I really love that about their dynamic is it wasn't escalating to the point of ridiculousness.
Exactly. That's perfectly put.
Now, Ulrich has such a beautiful relationship with his daughter Frida. She's like 13 or 14.
Yeah, early teens.
They each take care of each other and they have a mutually nurturing relationship. Every choice Ulrich makes is done with Frida in mind. And even Astrid does and says things that also shows that she's protective of Frida and seeks the best for the child.
Even when they were doing the pranks at the beginning, I felt like her reaction to Frida's reaction, it made me love, I mean, I love them all, but it's just like, God, these characters.
Yes. Astrid comes off as kind of, bratty and sometimes spoiled, but she really isn't. A lot of that is, she's a very complex character. A lot of that is a facade to, protect herself on many levels. But seeing how she didn't want to affect Frida negatively and is always thinking of her and also doing kind things to help them acclimate to, because they've just moved to this kingdom. So I think that this is the perfect single dad romance for readers who aren't interested in the hijinks that come from younger children. And I said to myself, I hope Libby read this because she's a fan of Lucy. And I think it's like an older child, and the child isn't, causing conflicts that are ridiculous or causing problems.
And it was a young teenager who acted like a young teenager. Like you said, she had these moments where she was, I don't want to say giving advice, but she was looking out for her father, and it didn't feel like, why is this 14-year-old acting like a 50-year-old? Like, it never felt like that.
Right. I mean, I feel like kids back in those days were probably like little adults anyway. You had to grow up kind of.
That's true.
So
Much like the young child I just said was going to be working in the coal mine.
Yeah. See, we gotta read more historical romance where the kids are going into the coal mines. Read The Viking She Loves to Hate by Lucy Morris. Why? Because Lucy Morris can do no wrong.
Agree 100%. No notes. Love that woman.
So, Libby, what single parent romance have you to recommend next?
Okay, it's an author I have been talking a lot about lately, and I know I have mentioned this in passing, but now I'm going to gush about this book in much greater detail. It is Fool Hearts by Emmy Sanders, that came out in July of 22 from her own imprint. I believe, I can't remember if it was 2 weeks or whenever we did the Friends to Lovers, I talked about her newest release, which I let you borrow, and I forgot the name of it.
To Catch a Firefly by Emmy Sanders.
Yes. I read that book because of how much I liked Fool Hearts by Emmy Sanders. When I fell down a Reddit rabbit hole, it talked about, if you loved that one, then that the Firefly one was one you had to read. So this one, at the time, I didn't think of it as a single dad book. It is, obviously, or it would not be discussed right now on the show. This is number 1 in her Plum Valley Cowboy series. It is perfectly both the characters are cowboys. So if you're in the mood for cowboys, giddy up, literally. So the tagline on the back of the book says, "Best friends, unrequited love, a story that spans decades." I read this book in a day. That seems to be a theme with Emmy Sanders. I cannot put her books down, literally. So the book follows Wyatt and Easton. Wyatt, they met on Easton's farm when they were young boys. They were best friends forever. He has been pining after Easton. He watched, they went through adolescence together. So I'm not going to give away the whole plot of the story, but rest assured, this really does take decades. It's really worth the payoff. It is a slow burn that doesn't feel slow. I don't even know what the hell Emmy Sanders does when she writes these books, but she manages to like perfectly pace everything out. I literally, there's a reason you can't put it down. Every chapter was so good. And the hook at the end of the chapter, I'm like, I need to know what happens there. And I don't want to go into a lot of the details, but there's a lot that goes on in this story. There are a lot of highs. There are a lot of lows. I'm not giving anything away because it's described on the back of the book, but Easton does marry a woman. They have a child. Something happens to that woman, so he is a single dad. Wyatt comes back into the picture. He has not stopped being in love with Easton. And watching him come back and help Easton basically come back to life and raise this child, who they end up, even though they're just friends at this point, raising the child on their own is so beautiful. And the way that they just, since they've been friends for their whole lives, they just know how to work together even through this horrible situation. And it is so beautiful, this relationship they have with each other, with Easton's son. Much like my first pick, How to Kiss Your Grumpy Boss by Jenny Proctor, this one I felt really touches on, again, just enough the reality of being a parent and what can happen when, the kids at school are wondering why this is happening, or they have questions on this. I felt like it was done in an authentic way that didn't feel preachy. It didn't feel like it was too much. I will say there were a few moments where the son got almost a little too precocious, but it happened in a scene that enough was going on that I'm like, oh, who cares? Everything else is good. So
I would just like throw him in a mine, in a coal
I know.
mine.
I'm like, it doesn't matter. Give that kid a canary and let's move on.
Give that kid
But it was, I know that obviously the fundamental trope of this book is friends to lovers, but the way that friendship crafts how they raise this child together is just brilliantly done. Again, they're cowboys, so if you're really craving, if you got a hankering for some cowboys, it's perfectly done. I have not read any of the other books in the series. However, the son Will has his own book later in the series, which I am interested in reading because I'm just interested to see how that character turns out as as an adult. So it is a hard-earned HEA that is worth your time, which if it's anything like my read, will be done in no time at all. It is, there's highs, there's lows, there's swoons. There's a few moments that I was actually laughing out loud because again, if you've had, and even if it's platonic, if you've had those long-term friendships, you know how it is when there's inside jokes and goofy stuff going on. I just like how they're written full stop. So that is why I'm picking Full Hearts by Emmy Sanders as my final single parent pick of the day because damn it, it was just too good. I am now a full-blown Emmy Sanders fan. Full stop. Liz, what is your last pick of the day?
Well, I admit that this is a book that I haven't yet finished reading, but I am loving it so much. I can't imagine it disappointing me to the point where I would say, thumbs down, I didn't like it.
Okay.
And I also choose to believe life is not that cruel that it would do that to me. The book is called The Falcon and the Foe by A.J. Truman.
Shut up. Hold on.
What?
I literally got this at a used bookstore accidentally when I was just futzing around looking for something to read, and it was on I think it was at Half Price Books. Someone had just sold it and I made them slap a sticker on it so I could buy it. I haven't read it yet, but I'm so excited to read it.
You gotta be kidding. Oh my God, you have to read. I was just researching single parent romances because I wanted to read something new for this episode. The book, The Falcon and the Foe, is part of the Single Dads Club series.
Yes, so, I'm so intrigued by this.
Oh my God. So Single Dad was in the title, so it popped up in my search and I was reading about, I was like, oh, this sounds like it could be good. So I downloaded the sample. And I just started reading it on my phone, just like, okay, let's just see what the sample's like. I was like, oh my God, I love this. And I immediately purchased, because I don't have Amazon Unlimited. So I purchased the ebook right away and just kept reading it. And oh my God, I love this book. And
okay, good.
Oh my God. Like this is, okay, let me talk about it.
Okay.
And I never recommend a book that I've not read. Okay, so this is what it's about. The Falcon and the Foe by A.J. Truman, published by the author in 2022. The Falcon and the Foe is a male, small town, single dads, opposites attract, enemies to lovers romance. The book actually isn't listed as a rom-com, as far as I could tell, but I am finding the dialogue and the situation so humorous and then so laugh out loud funny that I don't know why it's not categorized as a rom-com.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So it is funny then, or there's funny moments.
Oh my God. I have some lines to read to you. So this is how excited I am about this book. This is from the back of the book description. 2 single dads, 1 huge grudge, and 1 tiny tent.
That is literally what sold the book, literally, to me. I saw that and I'm like, and here is my money.
It is. Listen, only 1 tent I feel is becoming more popular. I think I've heard like a little bit more. Only 1 anything is popular. So
only 1 coal mine, only 1 tent.
Only 1 coal mine.
Oh, anyway, continue.
Here's the gist. When Cal's 9-year-old son joins the Falcons Scouts troop, the struggling single dad is less than enthused to learn that the leader is Russ, the anal retentive rule follower who pushed Cal out of the school's PTA. Russ is a single dad and widower who runs the Falcons with the precision and seriousness of an army platoon leader. To ensure that his son has a fun time in Scouts, Cal volunteers to be a co-scout leader alongside Russ. They're total opposites. Both have sworn off romance and relationships, but as they work together, they see beyond their differences and feelings develop. And then I wrote down, I don't know how I was supposed to mention this, but I wrote, if the tent is a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
And I think that is fabulous and should be on a t-shirt.
It probably already is.
It probably is, yeah. Another missed opportunity.
Another missed opportunity. So the pacing, the banter, the small town vibes, the humor, aces. And I had to write down a few lines because how can you not love a book that contains a line like this? And I'm paraphrasing. The Falcons meeting was being held at the Arden MacArthur Community Center. My friends and I called it the B. Arthur Community Center because every town should have an important building named after a Golden Girl.
Oh my God. If I hadn't already literally purchased the book, that would have sold it to me.
I thought that might be the case. And the name of this town is called Sourwood.
I don't know why, but I love that.
The humor is totally in line with my own. So I'm about 30% in. And like I said, I can't imagine anything going awry because I'm loving it so much. As a matter of fact, I'm like, oh, we have a recording. Oh, I have to stop and start getting ready and put my book down. So I invite everyone to join me in reading The Falcon and the Foe by A.J. Truman.
And I will be joining you very soon. This just got moved to the top of the list.
And that's our roundup. Watch Romance Roundup on Reader Seeks Romance channel and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to Romance Roundup on Podbean and all podcast apps. Thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.